Alright, I thought I'd make a little video of the progress I've been making on the home ship. I did a bunch of stability work and most have been working on the engines, so we'll go ahead and do a little bit of maneuvering here. So also connected up a bunch of the command station here. So this is our starter panel here, so we have clutch indicator showing the position of the clutch port and starboard. We have temps port and starboard. And we have the RPMs port and starboard. So to start the engines, we just need to turn on the start stops. As long as they're green, the engines will start and auto restart. And we can do that to the starboard as well. Kind of my similar thrust panel that I normally have. I've extended the gauges, so anything in this regime here is showing your thrust forwards. Anything below the red is showing your thrust in reverse, and the red is showing that you're either at idle or you're within the no clutch range. So if you're here, you're going to be in idle. You're not going to be clutching forward or reverse. From here we have our port thrust forward, our port thrust reverse, starboard thrust forward, starboard thrust reverse, the thrust indicator there. Here we have our speed and knots. Here we have zero thrust, so if we were to, want to completely neutralize our engines, we could click that and it would zero our engines back into the red. Then we have sync thrust. If you sync the thrust, if you sync your thrust, that will allow you to control both engines from this port side, which is convenient for if you plan on using both screws and you're not maneuvering, it's easier just to go to sync them, so you're not having to jump from side to side, try to match up the thrusts. So we'll do a little maneuvering here. So we want to push away from this dock, so we're just going to go ahead and we will start out slow. We'll add some thrust. It's intentionally made to be this slow so that you can have precise speed control. As you can see, we can get down, we can get down within a couple knots. I think we could probably maneuver around 2 knots before. As you can see, it auto-modulates the clutch and the thrust so that we can maintain a nice slow speed. As you can see, we're doing 2 knots with that single screw. So when you're in forward, you have a gearbox, 3-to-1 gearbox. So you're going to need about 3 times. In reverse, you only have a -1. So this is for a number of reasons. One is stability in reverse. You don't want to be going as fast in reverse as you are in forwards for obvious hydrodynamic reasons. When you're cutting through the water with this nice sharp bow, you don't have you have less hydrodynamic drag. If you're trying to push backwards with this big flat stern, you're going to have hydrodynamic issues, so kind of mimicking that. So let's do a maneuver here. Let's do a 360 using just the thrust of the screws. So we're going to go full rudder to the right. So as you can see, we have sticky rudder and a rudder indicator. And then let's start putting this the starboard screw into reverse. Now, like I was saying, you need about 3 times the starboard to match the thrust output because you don't have that gear multiplication. So one way we can do this, if we look, we have about 190, 200 knots. And over here we have 300 knots. So right there we're about 50% more. And as you can see, we're still traveling forwards. So if we were to increase this more, and we would go about 3 times that, so about 600 RPM, we should get a pretty good match where our reverse screw is matching our forward screw, and we should get a speed indication of 0 if we're doing a 360. Alright, so let's actually increase our port thrust a little bit. Alright, there we go. So as you can see, we're doing a nice rotation here. I'll just take back a little bit of that so we're not making any forward progress. So if you have a 0 in here, that's showing you're not making any forward progress. So as you can see, we're doing a 360 degree in place. So we can rotate our ship in place with just the screws. Adding to this, we have both a bow and a stern thruster. So we have these 2 arrows and indicator gauges. So we want our bow to go right. So we're going to push this bow thruster right. We want our stern to come towards port, so we're going to push our stern port. And as you can see, that's increasing the rate of rotation. Alright, and because we're showing a speed of 0, that means we're staying in place. So as you can see, we can do a quick rotation here in place, which is convenient for maneuvering around docks. Also with our thrusters, we can use those bow and stern thrusters to translate port or starboard for docking. Alright, so start to get ready here to go forwards. So just take off my thrusters here. I'm going to start by just increasing this port thrust here, and then we'll start bringing up the starboard thrust here as well. I'm also going to zero out my my rudder, and now I can. So now, as you can see, we're in the neutral range. And now, as we increase, you'll notice we start to increase our RPS and our clutch. So one thing we can do is we can also just keep cranking it up there. There we go. So now we're about matched. We can also sync the thrust. So now what you'll notice is as I increase this port thruster, it's also doing the starboard. So this is something that's on real boats and ships is, when you're doing a lot of maneuvering, you want to independently control your thrust. You also have prop sync on airplanes like this where you want to have them synced so you're not having any uncommanded yaw, but also, things for like sound, you want your engines in resonance so you don't, especially in planes, this used to drive us nuts was, you get this whirring noise if one prop is out of sync with the other, so, so we have a nice sync. So the real ship this is based off has an 18.5 knot maximum speed, so this one's a little bit faster. So this one just does about, it's doing 21, a little bit over 21 knots, and so it's a little bit faster than the real one. One thing you'll notice is you will have an overtemp issue if you're running at 21 knots constantly. But it'll take you probably 20 minutes, maybe a little less, to get your temp up to overtemp. I'm going to put an overtemp protection on there. But if you bring your thrust down to a realistic speed for this craft, which is 18 knots. So like I was saying, how slow and sensitive these thrusts are set up is on purpose. So as you can see, I can easily control my speed with this. So now we're down to 18 knots. We're going to keep getting a temperature rise until we hit around 70 degrees, and then at this speed setting, you shouldn't overtemp. So I'll put an automatic overtemp protection where if if the temperature rises up to 100 degrees, it automatically will cap your thrust setting. That way you're not you can't light the engines on fire. But so as you can see, a nice cruising speed of 18 knots. It's nice and maneuverable. I left a little bit of list in there. As you can see, it lists and then it will automatically flatten out. I have a couple of stability systems. One, I have these fins in here, and two, there is a counterweight, which is both for deck loading and for stability of the ship. All right, thank you for watching.